Hey, thanks for tuning in to today's stream where I work on Simplytest Me during my Monday afternoons. Before I get started, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors and service providers that make Simplytest possible. Tugboat, Simplytest Sandbox environments are sponsored in kind by Tugboat, the fastest platform to automate the creation and preview and test environments. If you simplytest.me, you'll know that's true. And the website is also hosted by Amazy.io. So thank you, Amazy.io, for your in-kind sponsorship of your managed Lagoon cloud hosting platform. Development partners, QED42 for their front-end theme work, and Bluehorn Digital, my company, using my company time to sponsor these live streams and various development efforts. And thanks to our sponsor, Centauro, on the Open Collective for the monthly organization contribution. And to our previous providers, Maloon and Druid, for their long-standing support as infrastructure providers. If you're interested in sponsoring Simplytest Me to ensure that we have development funding for more projects or to keep the project going, words are hard today. We have an open collective, opencollective.com/simplytestme. And thanks to everybody before, present, past that has helped sponsor the project. Some of those development funds did go to myself to ensure that I could set aside time to get the newest release pushed out, which we launched 2 weeks ago now. I've started to lose track of time. So I'm going to keep on working on some of the bugs that people have shaken loose. So let's see. I need to do dev composer install. Today, I forgot to open all the issues up. So let's go to Drupal.org. And I forgot to hit record. One thing I want to start trying to do is remember to record these live streams onto my local disk instead of exporting from Twitch. Because when I export from Twitch, they're only at 720p, and apparently it makes it kind of hard to read a few things. And with the Streamlabs wrapper around OBS, you can't have it automatically start recording, where in regular OBS you can, unless I'm missing a setting somewhere. Yeah, rescale output, use custom buffer size, audio, enable replay buffer. Yeah, I know in regular OBS you can have it start recording to your disk while you're streaming, and the Streamlabs wrapper doesn't do that, so maybe I'll have to ditch Streamlabs for just regular OBS so I can have better control. Back on topic. Getting back on topic. All right, so let's go through some items here. We have a fix. All right, cool. So we're going to fix this. Mike Herschel reported the fact that the backend, the hero image is huge for the Simplytest Me site. So we're going to go ahead and replace that now that it was merged. I'm going to do a git pull. This was added into themes. We have a WebP image, which all modern browsers support. WebP. I didn't want to actually open it. I just wanted to go to it. Now it's going to freeze up PHP Storm. There we go. Oh, there's plugins for it. Allow viewing images in the WebP format. Might require a restart, so I'm going to forgo that. So let's open this in. Open in Finder. Where did my Finder go? Here we go. So there's the background image. Let's go ahead and log into Simplytest Me. And we'll go ahead and replace that image so that way it's a much nicer and friendlier size. Something like this was like 2 megabytes. This is also a PNG, and it should have been a JPEG for the kind of image it is. Yeah, that definitely should have been a JPEG, not a PNG. Because the PNG is a vector file, so it has all the shapes, where a JPEG at least has some kind of compression. So yeah, 2.13 megabytes, whereas the WebP image is better, but that's not showing up. So we do drush ULI inside the Lagoon container. And I'm going to copy that, so make sure I open it with Brave. have it under appearance and settings for Simplytest. And let's find the background image. Oh, we don't even need to upload it. We can just web p. Save configuration. Son of a biscuit, though. That's in config. We should have updated the configuration export. Yeah, this is gonna complain and it'll possibly get overridden. And it didn't load. Well, that's odd. And my computer's just running absolutely horrible right now. Console 404 background WebP. Oh, we didn't deploy it yet. We did not deploy it yet. It is local. PNG. Save configuration. Let's do needs work. Going to make a quick follow up that adjusts the exported config so we do not need to manually upload this file. All right, so we're gonna quick fix this. I forgot we didn't deploy it yet. It's just locally. I'm logged into the production site, not even my local. So let's do that. Let's go to simplytest.me.ddev and we can verify it locally. I'm going to open another issue. I'm going to get access to the issue fork and make a new branch. This will say configure background image. I'm going to have to do a reinstall. I was working on a different I was working on adding Fastly support and the CDN purge, all that, and that's why that's airing out. So if I do a ddev drush cim and see if I reinstalling the config fixes it. And let's go into config, sync. I need to get back that issue. The workflow with Drupal.org and GitLab is great, but there are some quirks, like you can't get back to the issue, and making a purge request or a merge request in GitLab is still kind of like doesn't use the right templating that you would get if you're using Drupal.org. All right, where did this error? CIM. Yeah, this is all just ddev drush cr. We'll see if the cr works. And my keyboard's messed up. It was on Friday. I think it was Friday. I was doing my live stream and I spilled coffee all over my computer. Not my computer, sorry. Just my desk, and I got on my keyboard, and it works, but it's kind of like squeaky in some areas. It's not like the end of the world, but it's just annoying enough. Simplytest theme settings. All right, so if we hit edit, we can change .png to .webp. Right, so that is webp. That is the file name. Commit changes. And let's see if this drush cr works so I can test it locally as well. I feel like quick, easy, simple are the absolute worst ways to describe anything you're ever going to work on, because it never is the case. And like, why is this drush cr taking forever? I can tell you, you know what? I'm going to quit Chrome. I have it open on another monitor. Maybe that's it. And I'm going to close my Todoist just to kill anything that's not needed. Let's do a drush cim again on my local and see if we get it. So while all that's running, we want to wrap up this header image size one, this issue rather. It's nice that we can actually deploy it automatically and not have to upload the file. And then I want to work on a regression. Before private file storage was set, when I worked on the newer version, I caused that as to be lost. So all we need to do is make sure that inside the settings.php, we point to site's default private and make sure that folder exists. In D7, it was easy to configure because you could do it via the user interface. That's what I'm looking for. In Drupal 8, it was removed from the user interface and is a setting that is set. So you can't just configure it on the fly. Let's do a yes. We'll reset. I wonder if this is going to break, trying to update core.extension to uninstall modules which don't exist. We'll find out how resilient Drupal is to removed extensions. All right, looks like it's probably going to go through. So that's getting all updated. And then you check something out. All right, that finished. So thanks for hanging out. Not very resilient. I'm actually pretty surprised that this worked. I just had to do a cache rebuild, and it didn't care. I'm honestly really surprised that it didn't completely crash and burn on a Drush CR. That's awesome that it worked because it makes my life that much simpler. That's right. And we have this weird focus thing going on where there's like two. We have this the green outline, but then when it's the logo, it's not. Oh, I can't even replicate it now. All right. Either way, back to the focus is to test this whole image bit. So if we look, this background PNG says from memory cache. If I do a hard reload, we should see that it is still from memory cache. Oh, we will just go ahead and edit that. We don't need to get too involved. Thanks for hanging out on the stream. And I know Facebook and Instagram is down, and with Instagram down, you can't look at cats or other fun things. So I hope I will be mildly entertaining to replace your internet fix, since the thing that people spend about 70% of their time on is down. Oh, I did not want to close that. All right, so the image loaded. I'm going to do a refresh since I screwed up and closed that. We got our logo. Data image, background WebP, boom, and it loaded. Sweet, I'll take it. A whopping 87 kilobytes, still big, but you know, in today's world, I guess it's not too big. So I need to copy this link. I'm gonna do needs review with 94 merged. We have a no op deployment. Verified this locally. Importing of the config will fix the URL automatically. It's good enough answer. And I'm going to set that one to the side to make sure I ping Adam, that we can have that merged. All right, so I'm just going to drag that over to to my other monitor, or rather to my actual laptop screen, because I have a really bad habit of putting things into notes and then closing the note 5 times over. And I'm trying to try something new where I just put the tab to the side and see if it works. So let's fix this private file directory setup. Let's reopen that commit. And let's set up the issue fork locally. There's one thing I've been wanting to work on, and it's a tool from, let's see if I can, github.com, DPI. Did I get this right? Yes, I did. Drupal do-git. So do-git is a CLI for working with Drupal.org's CLI or issue forks. The problem is convert an issue with patches to a Git branch, clone or check out a merge request. That's it. I have not been able to use it because it doesn't work on an empty merge request. It only works if a project has an existing merge request. So it doesn't automate these commands, which is the thing that I really need to have automated, is just copying the issue fork, remote add, and let me expand this, the git fetch, and then checking out the branch. I just want something that automates this for me. Like I can say, this is my detective project I'm on. This is the issue ID. Fetch it. Do my dirty work for me. All right. So now that we have that checked out, let's go to Tugboat. I thought you have to create branches in Drupal.org. Is there a way to do it without the API? You have to, but when you click on Drupal.org, when you create an issue fork, it will automatically create a default branch for you. Otherwise, you have to click the button, create new branch, and there is no API to do that. When you use, I'm not going to expose my token, but when you view Drupal.org, you have a read-only token that it uses. You can't create branches that way through the API. Normally in GitLab, yes, you can. In GitLab, you could use the API to create branches, even create commits, like upload files and create commits. That's how Simplytest me actually used to work, is it would push commits to a GitHub repo. So it's not, yeah. You have to create the branches on Drupal.org. The default is when you create an issue fork, it does it automatically. I just want a button that says, here's a node ID. Grab the issue fork for that node ID. If there isn't an issue fork created, then you can error out if there's not a branch. But just the current tool, do-git, requires a merge request to be opened already, which I guess I could do it, but so what I want to do is we have tests for everything here. So to follow test-driven development, let's go ahead and update one of the examples. So before we moved everything to the new Tugboat API with the new Tugboat API, we were able to move from these like weird commit hooks and just actually push a JSON file to the Tugboat API to generate our builds. And in doing so, I forgot to copy these over. 1 year ago, August, yep, I started doing this in December of this year, January. Yeah, January. It was right after New Year's when I started to contribute to Simplytest me. So I missed this. In the chat, really the interface on D.O is mostly about the forks. You can create your own branches and push them to forks, create merge requests. Yeah. The interface on Drupal.org is basically to ensure that even when it comes to merging, is the default commit messages. So it ensures that I'm not a maintainer, so it's not going to update these. But if these checkboxes were checked, it says issue number, blah, 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 by M. Glomman and Jonathan Hunt, and then the issue number. So that's really that's the real benefit the Drupal.org UI gives on top of GitLab, is just embodying a lot of those Drupalisms in our commit messages and even the branch naming. Also permissions, because we're not allowed to create issue forks, or I believe we can't, like you and I can't go create a fork to an issue fork, the issue fork workspace, group, whatever it is, but the API user on Drupal.org can. Which is a pretty brilliant like workaround, like as we started adding GitLab for some more modern practices. That was pretty, I still think it's pretty darn good compared to what, running our own Git daemon. So for those who do see this and like me working on Drupal, like that's kind of weird. Before, Drupal.org had its own Git daemon and its own bespoke VCS repository setup. So the fact that we were able to get to GitLab and set this up is pretty darn huge still. All right. So in D7, we need to make sure that we write this, that we create a cd to doc-root and echo conf file private path sites default files private, which we will put in, let's see. Let's view this file at this stage and see when this was added, like what step. Private. If perform install. Oh, that's interesting. So if you did a manual install, you wouldn't even get this set up correctly. So we want to put it into the build process. So download, patching, installing, finalize. I think it needs to go here. And I can't hit the delete key. Do we do an echo anywhere else I can copy? Echo. Not like that. Hold on. Yes, we do. It's right here. Here we go. There's some examples. We do echo and then just escape the single quotes. Perfect. Should have known that, but I wanted to, so rather assume that's what I could do, but I wanted to make sure it followed the same pattern. Here, so sites default files, make their P. Honestly, what we could do is we'll go for there and make sure so does the change ownership. So if we were to run this test, which is still indexing, here we go, run it. We're going to get a failure. We should at least get a failure because it doesn't exist. Failed to certain the two arrays are equal because we don't have that being output. So let's go to source and preview config generator. And where do we have this being added again? I don't remember anything I ever do. So before the download stage. So stage download, get download commands. That's for one-click demos. Get download commands. So we have it as, oh, actually that's the step right before download. So setup, here we go. We want it for setup. So there's D9, D7, and D8. So now we actually need to make it in here. So if parameters, major version, why does it keep indexing and not auto-completing? So if this is equal to 7, and then else. So Drupal 8 on Simplytest Me does not use the composer build, which was introduced officially in Drupal 8.8. There's always the community composer build, but it wasn't until Drupal 8.8 that an official composer build was added. Simplytest Me uses the legacy build for Drupal 8. Drupal 9, sorry, it uses the official composer build. And I didn't even copy this all the way correctly because I missed the pipe out, which is what happens here. Okay, so that checks out. So let's copy this text, and in the preview generator, we still need it escaped. So if it's D7, commands, there. And this is probably going to argue at me for being duplicated in another if-else branch. But it's like, I know it's duplicated, but we have special things that have to happen if it's D8 or not. I wonder if this installing, if these should go into setup. But we'll just keep it as is. For now, in my opinion, they probably should go to setup, but let's go and where's the D8? Let's go back to the commit. D8, update settings file. It doesn't, oh, there we go. Here it is. Or commands. Hold on. The backtick. I gotta figure out why this is constantly re-indexing themes. What is it? Oh, great. That's because it did a npm install inside ddev because I did composer install. So it's re-indexing all the npm packages, which is a complete and utter joy. So D8 and D9 have the same configuration for the file's private path. So we're actually going to split this workflow out. Thanks, PHP Storm. You were right with your analysis. It was duplicated. So we'll move it out to here, where if it's equal to D7, we do conf file private path. And then if it's 8 or 9, we do the settings path approach. Excuse me. And I know we had to add this line here because we're having some weird file permissions. It's kind of duplicated. So if we were to just add it here, we wouldn't have the problem anymore. So why not? Let's ensure that the files directory and files private exist. I know by doing make p would also create the files directory if it doesn't exist, but I'm leaving it here just to be verbose. We use -p because it prevents it from failing if it does exist. So let's delete. We're gonna move these two lines out to here. After the configuration is set, we still need this ownership because we're using Drush to install it, and Drush is running as a different user, so things can get weird. So let's go ahead and run this test, and then we got to run all the tests, and everything's going to be broken, and I've got to adjust all this array output. Oh, this failed. Oh, I did not remove the there, we can now if I run it, it should pass. All right, so that passed up. So let's go ahead and we'll copy these 3 lines, and this is extremely boring part. We've got the setup and delete, setup, delete. There and delete. I think that's the last one. So we'll run this test. And now the lovely part is having to do it again for the Drupal 8 and Drupal 9 tests. Go. So Drupal 8. Again, if I run it, we should get failures because we do not have the updates in. Luckily, we can copy a handful of things. So this is called settings. That should do it. Is this the right? Yep. Settings, file, private path. Perfect. So we just now have to go through. Let's rerun it to make sure that it passes one of the tests. This 8.92 token. Let's make sure that it passes. It didn't. Due to an extra space I added here. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and do the boring stuff and just copy these across. So that's before download. I'm sure somewhere there's some Vim hero who knows how to automate this and get it done all in one shot, but I am not that person. So you will have to bear with me while I do this manually. Oh, excuse me. Tired today. Boom, boom, boom. So many tests. And we have all these tests. That way we can understand what our build process looks like and track any changes that could break along the way. Unfortunately, we can't run our tests on Drupal.org due to the fact that Simplytest is set up as a Drupal install profile. Install profiles have never been able to run their tests on Drupal.org. So they're kind of there. And if I don't update them or we don't update them, they get out of sync and things get, well, they get messy and it's kind of chasing our own tail. But it's nice to have locally for things like this, because I can catch them right away and I don't have to do as much manual testing, because I absolutely hate manual testing. I don't like how much time it takes. I prefer tests that make life easier. Yeah, I'm sure there's probably some regular expression that's like, oh, well, if you see this, place it here and delete this other line. And I would spend 3 hours figuring it out. Well, I could have been done just doing some copy and paste. So that's it. Like the whole discussion of like, oh, what's a 10x developer? Right there. If you're good with regular expressions in Vim, you've beat me. You're more productive than me. I'm over here using a mouse, copy pasting. Is this the last one? Yes, thankfully. So I'm going to run this test one more time. That's the wrong button. Let's just wait for it to finish. On the D9 config. And boom, we're golden. I guess I should do a run that makes sure it's set up. Luckily, we can do that. Let's see. First, I'm going to make the commit. Theme. .lock file. Revert. This, I feel like I've ranted about this so many times, but I really dislike the fact that npm install rewrites your lock file when it's like you have a lock file there for a reason, and that is to install against, not to be modified when you install files. And it's just like, it blows my mind. It's a package manager. You have one job: to install against like a set. This is what I have. Add private file path. So I'll push this, and then I'm going to launch a test environment to make sure that it's all good to go. I'm going to pop that open merge request button, and inside the test, we have this instance manager test. And this is intended to, this lets me run something and cleans it up, but I'm actually going to prevent the cleanup. And let's go get dashboard.tugboatqa. Let's launch a Drupal 7 site, just Drupal core. We'll hit run. And this is going to run the preview config, do test. it launches an instance based off the submission. It waits for the job to finish and then tells me. And if we go GitHub, go to the dev environment. So here we go. It's building. So we just want to make sure that when this is built, we have access to, or the status report says that there is a private file system set up. So while that goes, let's see. I'm going to do needs review. Adds back the file private path setting on install. It also ensures it's always present when reviewing the previous fix. It would not set if manual install. It's good enough. Nice little bug fix. Nice. Sweet. This is it's ready. Let's preview it. Let's go admin. Disable my do not disturb till this evening. No, password managers. I don't want to save it. Reports. Status report. Oh, overlay module. How I've forgotten about you. Where? Oh, it's not in status report. It's in configuration. In the media file system. Here we go. There we go. Site's default private files. It's good to go. It's default download method. If we were not going to go through it, that's good enough. So let's delete this. No, not clone. No, I don't want to clone it. I want to delete. Yes, delete this preview. Oh, the clone. Delete. Let's go ahead and run one more. So let's do the D7. Let's do D9. We'll do D9 core. Run it. Wait for. There we go. All right. We'll wait for this to build. While that goes on, what is this? Error. Specified file cannot be renamed or copied because its destination is not properly configured. This maybe. Oh, wait a second. This is. Oh. A year ago, 3 days ago. Oh, following up on an issue. Oh, actually, okay, I'm going to move. So they reported an issue and it's fixed, but doing a direct link to Simplytest Me is supposed to pre-populate some things. And it's broken. I'm going to put this back to fix. Sorry. Say sorry. I realized you marked. Failure. Why did it fail? Cloning into build failed. Why? Can't cd into var/dev HTML. But it just did a symbolic link. What do you mean you can't? It's there. All right, let me just mark this fixed due to the original issue. You have a new issue on the URL param start. I'll open a follow-up. C needs work. When testing D9 core. Paste the error. Good thing I tested this out. Man, why wouldn't that work? So D8, D9, CD doc root, symbolic link to root STM web. Let me delete. I'm just going to delete this preview because I know I don't need it. The test. D9 config test. So right here, CD doc root. Plenty of things do a CD to doc root after the symbolic link, and it works. So, then, honestly, don't know what all the flags mean, to be completely fair, but no, they're used. And CD doc root and echo make dir p. Why is this erroring on can't cd into var www html? But we're in the doc root. And since it didn't build successfully, I couldn't SSH into it. One second, I'm really kind of baffled here. So this would work. I guess I should have kept that around. So if D9, CD simply test me, composer require, then we do a symbolic link from tugboat root, which is var www html. In this case, it's doc root. And if major version 8 or 7, we do the git fetch. 7, why does that fail? I don't want to do a check on if it's 8 or 9. Like, I just want it to work, so I have all this fewer logic. I'm going to run the test to do a build one more time. Let's see. I don't get why this wouldn't work. Let's build an op cache real quick. Why? Eight. Oh, that's not even the right area now. Generate, setup commands. Like, I guess I'll have to split this all out. I just really don't want to split it all out. All right, here we go. So it's creating it at, so there we go. It created an, oh, what? So terminal. Let's go into the terminal. It launched the maybe we need to turn off the shields for this to work. Usually it loads up right away without error. Object, exit code 126. It just failed. Okay. Well then. Oh, just saw the chat. Yeah, I think that's what happened is on my machine, I have npm2, and in ddev it has npm1, so npm install modified the lock file. That's probably what happened. So we're doing a symbolic link, and this is like of talk about root to STM web. This is how we get the web root to just work. And then CD, why can't the symbolic link has been set? Why can't it just do it? Just work. I don't want to add more logic around this. I'm trying to load the terminal one more time. Yeah, it's not going to work. Why? Can't anything just ever be easy? So we created that dot slash. So we're in varlib tugboat stm, and we're supposed to symbolically link this to the doc root, which is var_dub_dub HTML, and it is borking. But it works when we call that later on, and each step is supposed to have like a little reset. Why doesn't it work when it works down here? At that point where I'm going to copy and paste, there's no changes. So I don't know why that's having an error. What I want to do is I'm going to rerun that test to build a new instance. Delete that. There we go. Now it's showing up in the previews. Does -f cause it to fail silently, or did maybe the directory already link and it's trying to create a link in the directory? You know what? Let's find out. Event log stop opening. Man, not ls. If there's any command that I have major issues with, it is the symbolic link, because I get it all kinds of confused. Especially the what should be first and what should be second. So let's see. And again, all these have been copied over too. So like the symbolic link was added by Adam or somebody years ago when the D8 site was first set up, or maybe it was just D7 and Drupal not 8 support was added. I don't really know. F, if the proposed link already exists, then unlink it so that the link may occur. Okay, that's good. N, same as H for compatibility with other LN implementations. H, if the link name is a symbolic link, do not follow it. This is most useful with the F option to replace a symbolic link, which may point to a directory. All right, so that just seems like unlink it and relink. N. No. S. Create a symbolic link. Oh, because by default it makes a hard link. A symbolic link connects the name to a file. This is relevant. I usually use LNS and see if relative link, symbolic link is possible instead of absolute. So this is doing a symbolic link, but it tries to unlink it if it already exists. So if, and actually, if we look at docs, tugboat, bore, QA, set the document root path. I believe this is just copied from their examples. So this is straight from their setup where, like, let's say you're in your normal Drupal site, Acquia site, right? You have a Drupal with Acquia, which puts everything in doc root instead of web. This example right here makes perfect sense. I just don't understand why when we try to then, after we make the symbolic link, we then try to CD into it, that it errors out. But let's look at this build. So ls, doc root, what? So we can, oh, wait a second. Let's try, we're going to try this. We're going to add the trailing slash and run it, because that way we'll be able to see inside of the symbolic link. Delete that. What I was hoping I could do is just SSH into the container and try doing it myself, but that was even throwing an error. So I'm going to make this follow-up issue from this that I said I was going to before I forget. Follow up from where? Link direct link of project and version throws. What is the error? Project.type validation constraints. Category bug version 4.x. Let's link here. I'm gonna just do a block quote. Block quote. URL param loading has a slight error on the project data passed to the backend. That's also a pretty big bug that breaks our integration with Drupal.org, and it's DrupalCon Europe this week, isn't it? Which means that I should probably get that fixed as soon as possible, since people on Drupal.org will be trying to use this project. For example, when that automatic link happens when, let's just go to path auto. If people have the Dredditor extension still installed and they see the link somewhere, maybe it used to show up on the releases where you could click a button like try and Simplytest me. It's not showing up, but some people have that link hard coded. Let's see. Demo, style settings module. Just go to the style settings module, demo. So they have a link at the bottom that's actually completely different than what I expected. This demo in the bottom says /Drupal/7 add, and it adds additional style settings. I didn't know that existed that way. So let's do a link. So cannot access. All right, here we go. So the symbolic link is not linking for some reason. Composer.json has been updated. Shoot, I know why. Okay, so here's why. It has nothing to do with symbolic links or tugboats. In the Composer Create project, it does no install. We're gonna delete that. So the no install means that none of the scaffolding runs, which means the web directory doesn't exist. and we started accessing it before it was ready. So let's go ahead and run test core. And I bet this will be fixed up. So to help explain that, we go to github.com, Drupal core, recommended project. So it did a git fetch, or it created a project off this. So all we had was a .json and .lock file. And it's not until you do composer install that the composer scaffold creates the web root directory as defined in here and copied over any of the files from the scaffolding package. Mind blown. So this should work now because it will do a install on composer create. We try to avoid doing multiple installs because until we've done a bunch of composer requires. So this will update the .lock file, but then we run composer install all at once as a performance benefit. But now that composer 2 is out, it's been out, but composer 2 is so fast, I don't know if it actually gives us a benefit to do that. We'll just see. There we go. All looks good in the world. I'm going to delete this ls and we'll log in when this is done. So we got the install happening. And then I just need to check the status page to make sure that the private file system is available. Committing the change. Well, I need to wake up. I hope everybody's having a happy October so far. I can't believe September flew by. It is now almost the end of the year because next thing you know, it will be holiday season. Oh, what? What? That's not good. Let's go to the terminal. That's not right. cd stm websites default ls cat settings.php. Why? Oh, wait. Oh. Wait a second. If perform install is false, we cat stuff into settings.php. Oh, we gotta copy it. All right, I guess this is why it went into the install part previously, because it makes a lot more sense to. So I'm going to do that and have to rearrange all the tests all over again. Good golly gosh. All right. I'm going to just do a cut of this and undo that. Let's go to the install commands, setup, installing. That's for the one-click demos. Install commands. I guess we could just put it here. No, because we don't have the install. So if install is equal to false, we'll put it return commands. All right, let's try here. Do this, and we'll go back up. All right, so we'll ensure that there's always sites default files and sites default files private. So we can delete this. And if perform installs equal to false, we need to copy these lines here to ensure that it's added and then returned. And move these to be at the end of the site install, I guess. Oh, this feels so messy. I don't like it. But I don't think there's a way around it. So if it's a manual install, it's 8 or 9. Actually, I guess, okay. So if it's 8 or 9, we paste in the settings file path. So 8 or 9, hash salt config sync directory, sites file path. And then finally, so if 9, 7, or 8, and then at the end of that, install, paste it out. So let's tear down this, delete, and sorry, I'm gonna fix the test later. Let's just do this instance manager test. I'm gonna get a few things spun up. Let's do test Drupal 7 core. Test Drupal 8 with additionals, Drupal 9 core. Let's run that because we can run a few tests in parallel. Drupal 9, Drupal 8 with additionals. Did not do Drupal 8 core. Let's do Drupal 8 with additionals, Drupal 8. So we're on Drupal 8 as well. So we'll get these 3 previews built to make sure that the private file system's working, and then hopefully commit all the things. 7, 8, 9. Like one day, I'm going to have an easy bug or just an easy problem. It's not going to cascade into a nightmare. So that's committing. It's ready. Does such a thing ever exist? No. Everything's a nightmare. Admin. Like, summary of my life when working with Boyan on Drupal Commerce. It's just like, hey, let's do this thing. And guess what? No, you're going to spend multiple days just fighting everything all the time. All right, so the file private system was automatically populated. If we go to status report, there's no error about it. I'm going to consider that a thumbs up. The Drupal 8 is installing, and the Drupal 9 is finalizing. Interesting. D7 super fast, D9 pretty fast, D8 slow in terms of Simplytest setup. Let's see what one commits first. Jeez. I guess while I wait for that, you can go through this dreadedness. All right, there's the D9. Yeah, let's have fancy. Let's have wonderful address handling. I mean, it is definitely a lot better than in D7 land, but yeah, hard problems all over the place. So stop saving reports. I think if we go to status report, it will tell us this. Nope. Again, it's just under configuration. We go to file system. Private file system and sites default private files. Great. It's set. Awesome. Let's preview this one too. Wait a second. Hold on. That's the D9 site. Okay. That's why. The D8. I was just really confused. I thought I opened the D8 site and that it had logged me in automatically, and I was like, this is not good. Admin stop last pass. I wish there was a way to say, given subdomain, I don't want to save any passwords. I'm sure there is, and I'm going to look into it after this. All right, we've got the private file system there. Things installed. That makes me happy. Delete. And delete. Now we got to fix this. We remove it out of download and into the install area. So again, a cut and a paste. I'm going to rerun this once to see if that is the correct order. So that way I can just, yes, it is. Awesome. Okay, that's not horrible. But it's like, it just stinks because it just already went through all of this. So we cut those. PHP storms froze. Make sure I didn't cut too much. Paste. Cut. Oh, dang. That's different. I'm going to let that one fail so I can just fix it on its own. All right. Paste it. All right, let's run the test. We should have 2 failures, I think, or just 1. Yep, just 1 because I couldn't remember what would go into the manual install. Not that. Not that at all. So yeah, it should be hash salt. We'll even make it match, which just says echo. So echo into the doc root. Why? How did I mess that up so bad on D7 for manual install? Get installing commands. If perform manual install is false. Oh, as I deleted the return commands portion. So now we should have a green test. Nope. 3. What was 3? Oh, I did not. That's right. I flip-flopped this around to match the other entries where it does not cd into doc root. It's just from the root path that goes out, and I need to add in the file path assurance. All right, there's the D7. One thing I want to fix up too, this unit test, instance manager test, before I forget to not commit that. Because it automatically cleans up the environments for me at the end of the test. I don't want to accidentally forget to commit that and then have tests that are, or preview environments that are lingering. Since, you know, Tugboat is donating these in kind, I do want to be cognizant of their offering and not burn a bunch of their instances that don't need to be running. So this again is a pretty straightforward cut and redo. I think the funnier part is like this is basically web development in a nutshell. It's not glamorous. It's just moving files, moving lines around. There. That, or I feel like a lot of my time was always spent just thinking of how to name things. Just staying up late, like, what should we call this? All right. That CD into the doc root. We'll go. Need to copy that in for the manual install example right after here, I believe. And we're going to change it to match. We're just doc root / LCD. Let's make sure that 8. All right, that should be the same. No, it's not. That is not the same. I fixed it up here, not down there. Perform install no address SI. Still shows CD. Let's see. Fix this one to be echo. Let that run, and I have to reply to somebody real quick because I do have another set of sponsored streams coming in, and they're working on a social media plug right now, and I want to get it out so that way we can plug it and I can promote it. 1 second. Detection. 1 second. So what I'm gonna be working on is PHP stand rules to detect PHP 8 compatibility. So yeah, so I'm getting sponsored for 8 episodes to work on PHP stand rules that detect PHP 8 compatibility. I started working on it before, and then I kind of fell off the wagon, and somebody approached to sponsor my time to work on it, which is super duper cool. I'm forgetting these 2 lines. Thank you. It's really cool that one, I'm glad I'm doing something right enough that companies like Palantir feel that they're getting a return on investment for sponsoring my development time. and that another company is seeing that as well. So that's really cool. One for me, because I'm getting paid to do like 4 hours a week live streaming development for open source projects. That's really cool. But also hopefully there's other people that try to do this too. And it's content creation that can help teach, my opinion. That's one reason I wanted to do this is, not everybody watches it, but maybe there's like a few nuggets here and there that people can walk away with and learn from. And it's better than me just doing it on my nights and weekends, being like, why am I doing this on my nights and weekends and not getting paid for it? Blah, blah, blah. So I'm healthy and happy, and hopefully it helps other people, learn and is better all around for everybody in that case. I've got to delete. Got to make sure I cut from here. And cut this out. All right, this is the example. Delete that from up here. Cut and paste. Oh, D9's got a lot of tests. This is. Although I don't know how some people stream and play games and they're like, oh, I'm going to stream for 14 hours straight. I can't. After I do 2-hour stints, and after my 2 hours, I am like a puddle of jello for a brain. Um, I mean, maybe it's like playing games does take mental load, but maybe it's just the whole idea of like writing code and having to talk and think is maybe a little bit heavier. But either way, I mean, just being and doing this for that long is just immense. I don't know how people do it. Where is this broken? I forgot to fix this. And where's the last failure? 9.3.x. What did I do wrong? I forgot to cut this out. All right. Should be all green. Great. And we already know that I did the manual testing. Now I just fixed the automated testing. Fix placement. Fix when we set file private path. Have you seen where Adam Neely and others streamed making an album in 24 hours? No. That would be. I want to watch it. Because it'd be interesting if it's one of like, oh, we just have a camera on us while we do something, and you're just on, like, you're doing a thing and people can watch you, versus doing a thing and trying to engage with watchers or those who watch the recording while doing things. I think that's what gets me is I try to do stuff but also be engaged with whoever's watching or watch the recording. And it's like having two tracks running in my mind at the same time. And I think that's what makes me like the Jello analogy. Oh, and I forgot to, commit this important part. Push it. There's nothing there. Student needs review. Pushed commits to fix. There was a slight chicken and egg problem that I introduced. I was writing to the settings file before it was either copied on manual install or created from thrush install. This still ensures the private file system path exists regardless install type. All right, so that's ready to go. I'm gonna go ahead and, like I said, I'm dragging that over to my other screen so that way I don't lose it. Let's see, 3:25. Got half an hour left, and I bet this query parameter one is gonna suck my soul out of my body because it's not going to be an easy fix, but I think it is probably the next thing to go for, although this autocomplete dropdown is not clear when a selection is made. May be related. If I use autocomplete for asset injector, I can select autocomplete option. It shows the version. I feel like we need to get this merged and then try to figure out the issue, but why is there a merge error? First rebase locally. Let's copy the branch. Right, check out 8.x, 4.x. Do a pull. Get check out Turk. Check out branch. Get merge. Oh, because of app. Get merge. Port. We'll do get rebase. Get log. Add debounce. So downshift don't freak. Get rebase 8.x, 4.x. Could not apply. Get status. CD. We won't do a CD. We'll do themes. Simplytest theme. Package.json. And we'll run build. Ideally, I would like to not have a committed app.js. And it's just built on deployment, but I'm sure some of you may know building front-end assets as part of your deployment pipeline is a nightmare. Because it can just be very slow. So we don't really have the ability to do a commit dev, create build, deploy the build. It's kind of like just part of the whole shebang. So we're just rolling with this. Get add themes, get rebase, continue, get push F. One nice thing about the issue forks is you can do force pushes on Drupal.org. Anything that's a branch, that's any like branch for a project cannot have a force push done to prevent whoopsies with Git history and also just our packaging process on Drupal.org. So it's nice that issue forks you can do a force push to get a clean rebase if needed. So it can be merged, make comment fixed, merge conflict. I think it'd be good to deploy this fix and see what happens, leaving the issue open to verify. Yeah, this is one of those, I can't reproduce it locally, but I think we just need to ship something up to production and see what happens. So there's that. Inside baseball, that force push blocking only applies if there are releases attached to it, like tags or development releases. Oh, so I didn't. Oh, really? So if you don't have a branch with a release node attached, you can do force pushes. Interesting. Super interesting. I guess I've never had a branch that didn't have dev releases attached to it. So I think that might be why. All right, let's try to figure this one out. So Simplytest me, ddev. Let's copy the query param. Let's do the whole, whole redirect here. So this is the legacy, and then redirected it to be path. Yeah, I expect that's how it works now too. All right. So what we got going on is in our components, in our context, we have the project is set to the dev release. We have the selected version. We have the selected project, which has a short name, but it's an incomplete object, and I don't know why we need the project subtype, the project type in the front end. So let's see if we can fix this. Let's go to get checkout 8.x, 4.x. Where do we do this redirect? Launch controller. Somewhere we do this redirect. Project selector, no. Launch project, no. Validate submission, that is a thing. Launch project. Somewhere we redirect from the previous. We support this redirect from /project. I guess if I went to routes, I would find it faster. Oh yeah. Project selector. But that's project version. All right, well, that matches this URL. Project version. Okay. Condition. How do we handle an invalid project? To do. If release is null, display a message that I have no invalid version. Way to go, me. Edit a bunch of to-dos without solving them. Query equals project version. We need to have this add the project type and read the type, or fix the constraint. So what is failing is type data, project info. Right here, this project type is expected for the extension type, because we check that, when really we could look it up where, let's see. We validate the submission, we decode, validate the submission, we take the data, and we create a launch definition, and then we run the Symfony constraint validations. And what happens is that the type is empty because we fetch the project later on. I wonder if we should make that be unrequired or lazy load it for people. My one thought is to just do a query. Let's do type is an empty array or an empty string. We validate the project. So count. So if count is 0, else release from the project. And that we get the release, but we don't. So if count is 0, wait. So on project insert, the release history is automatically fetched. See insert. So I think that's why we have. This is all duplicated. So what we should, I try to be, I think here, I try to be smart or fancy. And didn't need to be. So let's do fetch project. If fetch project is false, else do something else. Let's get the release. Let's try to be unfancy here. So fetch project, release. If release is null, do handle on invalid project. We don't even handle that anywhere in here. So let's delete these lines, this count. Or rather, hold on. If release is null, release equals get release. Oh, here we go. Oh, that's what it's doing. So what we do is if it's a new project, we know that we've fetched all the releases, and if the release is unknown, we update the release data and try to fetch it. So I'm gonna try to keep this fanciness actually. So the idea, let's walk through it again. I should just walk through it instead of just trying to automatically fix it. So if the project does not exist in the system yet, let's say it's a new project, our scraper hasn't run, we fetch the project. If it doesn't exist, we just kind of poof. If it does exist, we get the releases, and that's this note on project insert. The release history is automatically fetched. Otherwise, we get the release. If the release is a miss, we try to get the update, fetch it again, and if it is a no-go that time, we bail out. So what we should do, fetch project is log warning, project type. What does this return? Type returns an array, save data. So after this fetch project, else, so we know we have data, we should update the query for type to be fetch project type. What do you mean this is not used? Expression result is not used anywhere. That's a load of crock because I'm using it down here. What do you mean? All right. So then we're in here. So I guess we'll have to. We'll just fetch it. I'm gonna just duplicate it here. We'll just duplicate. I just want to get it done with. I'm gonna put another to do. This is verbose, so we can handle a project load miss, which means versions are automatically fetched. So we're trying to be performant. Say we are trying to be performant, but it has led to some duplicate logic in each condition. I think that's fair enough. Sometimes you just gotta do that, or just say like, hey, this needs to get fixed, but we will fix it at another point in time. So now we have the type. So if I go here and I do if I were to go to project and launch, we should redirect, and it has type module. Awesome. Now, is this the best fix? I don't know, but it will get it to work so we can deploy it, and so that way anybody at DrupalCon that's using this will hopefully have a fix. I'm now going to add it to this rat's nest, which is the context. So if search params, so this search params is what pre-populates everything. So we would do else if search param has project and version, set main project, short name, and it sets the version. We need to also say type, set main project, type. There we go. Select the project type as distribution. So type is then going to be type. Fix that with prettier, and we'll do another build. So if I refresh the page, we should see that the value here for the selected project has short name, but also the type, and we can build. Let's wait for this to go through. Make an issue fork, since I'm pretty confident this time around. So if I refresh, ugh. Oh man, what? Hold on. It didn't even set the value. Select a project. Short name. Oh, now I got this to reproduce. You gotta be kidding me. Whoa, what is it doing? Why is it? There's so many versions of it. All right. Value. Selected project. Short name, title, type. Why does adding the type make this not want to work? Project short name is Drupal. Set to Drupal version. Set selected project. Set to selected project. Now I'm starting to feel like the easier fix was just to load the type automatically. That's not the button I wanted. So read loads. Module, why isn't it showing up in here though? Initial project, style settings, type module, but when if I were to undo these two changes and build, I bet it'll work, and I bet it'll make me cry. All right, it didn't. So I guess that's okay, but why does style settings show up 5 times? Let's look at the oh, it actually imported multiple times. The count is 0. Fetch. I don't have the drop down fix in to know if maybe that might be fixing it. So I could reproduce, and I think the fix is what world. Let's try not this. And do all right, launch. So launch. Launch project. We validate the submission. So if we were to, so if I click this and network, I want to preserve the log. I click launch sandbox, post 22, project type cannot be blank, cannot be null. Let's copy as curl. And if I were to do a HTTP request and paste, it will recreate it for me. So what I wanted to do here is I could do run all requests in file with no environment. And now I can just replay that request over and over. It's still loading. It should have crashed. And stop. Why did it go? So just to delete. Remove original curl. No, not debug. Okay. So what I can do, we have this running and it's failing. Let's do ddev start. Not, we had ddev start. Ddev xdebug. Go. Oh, patch 0 constraint validator. Oh, there's all kinds of stuff going on right now. Why don't we, let's see, project data, convert these following checks into constraints. Yeah, we need to do that. We pass the submission into launch instance, submission as a data, project version, project type. So we expect the submission to have the project type inside of it. And all of this I wish could be converted to a better object on itself. So let's do validate submission. And let's take project info. Let's mark it required and see what happens. This value should not be null. Let's cut that, paste, and we'll do a yeah, because in the constraint, there's no way to load it, and this is honestly more like an internal thing. So let's just move that. And data, this is a void. We're running 7.4, so I can return void on here. So this submission, load in the extension type if it's missing. Note this should always be passed by. You know what? I guess it's something that the front end shouldn't have to pass. It's just the name. So let's do launch instance. We don't ever fetch the project again. I feel like I should go inside the instance manager. Like we shouldn't have it be as part of this launch. This is all about validating and passing it to the launch instance. So inside of here, it's not a one-click demo. Else project version. Pick, say project data is equals this. Oh, but this doesn't have the project fetcher built into it. I really don't want to add that as a dependency. So I guess I'm right back here. Say project data equals validate submission. That okay, so if there's an exception that gets thrown, so we can safely say This project data equals this project fetcher. Fetch project. No, we don't want fetch project because that gets it from the API. So that's 0. Get release, update data. We just don't load it in here at all. Fetcher, project types. Where is this autocomplete go? Search from projects. Oh, because we need to load the type. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go back to launch instance. Simplytest launch. We add that as a void, just so that way it's more clear. Project version, we should do project fetcher. So fetch project, full project saves, data short name. All right, so let's do project equals Simplytest project. Oh, we got it. All right, we don't have the entity. Man, is it load? It's not load multiple. I don't want to do. This is a hack to load the project type to make further configuration decisions work. Rushed to fix loading by URL params for DrupalCon Europe 2020. 2020? Or is it 2021? It's 2021. Let's not let it sit for years. I'm going to put a date in there because I want to see how long it actually lingers. So, project storage equals Drupal entity type manager, get storage. No idea what the entity name is. Entity ID, Simplytest project. Project results. We'll do project storage, load by properties. Short name is project short name right here. And it's actually submission project short name and project equals reset project result. Instance, there should be no error. Response preview. So this goes to the preview. We shouldn't technically be here if I don't like that there's no error checking right here. That's what bothers me the most. But I guess we shouldn't be here if we had invalid data because our project object is right here with the values, and there's our type. So we can just go ahead and say project type value. Say if we could do project type short name. Not the greatest decision, not the greatest thing, not exactly what I want, but it's what we're going to get. So if I run that HTTP request one more time, so parameters, if I step over parameters, we've got style settings, type module, context. Oh, wait, darn it. Services. We have a build that's going through. And let's turn off the listener. And if we refresh this, then I click launch, we end up at the progress bar. I'm not a fan of the code, but it works. And eventually I'll get to a stream where I'm able to just refactor all of this code instead of piling on more and more. But you just do what you can do to make it work. Let's review the git commits. Instance manager that added an unused class or unused import. There's the note that we're fixing this for DrupalCon Europe. Test launch. We don't need to add that void to make more noise here. Yeah, I don't think we need to document that the type's not required. It's just everything else is required. I'm going to put a note. I'm going to say note, this was required. No, we don't need to do that. We don't need to say it's required. We're just going to opt that it's something we load from the back end. Like the front end shouldn't be telling us that data. We have the records on our back end, and we'll always go to whatever our back end says. Load extension type from backend data. Do commit and push. Open the merge request. And let's link these two better. Can delete and delete. Let's link this related issue. All right. Added a commit which loads the project type, the extension type from the backend data. It's not the prettiest, but it's a quick fix, especially with DrupalCon Europe. Mark it as needs review. I'm going to just quick eyeball the merge request, and then I'm going to sign off for the day. So I can do a little bit of client work before baseball. So let's see, changes. Yep. Oh, wait. Oh, okay, there's the label. It's there. I'll just make a note. Reaching this reset should never result in an empty array and project being false due to our validation steps before calling. Later on, when it's refactored, I believe we can harden it Yeah, so we should never get to that point. We have trust in our own system, but hey, it's always good to be careful and sorry. All right. So I'm going to bring back the issues that I did work on. We got the direct link fix, private file storage fix. That was a quirk and a half. And then this header background image fix is a follow-up merge request as well. All right. That leaves, there's just a handful of things I need to go through afterwards. Oh, this autocomplete dropdown. See if we can get that merged. Test. Footer links. There's this content needs to get added. And then some. Ooh, shoot. This is a big bug that I need to get fixed that maybe I'll use some off time to work on. Because randomly files don't import. 6 months ago. Why do I still have this as a work in progress? Well, I'm like, I gotta go, and then I can't stop looking at bugs. That's definitely not the fix. What? All right, another day. Thanks for tuning in. I will be back on Wednesday at 2 p.m. Central working on the upgrade status module / PHP stand Drupal / Drupal Rector, thanks to sponsorship from Palantir.net. And I guess I can announce it now. Like, they haven't officially sent out the tweet, but Esteemed is going to be sponsoring my PHP stand development. So I'm going to actually be working on contributing to PHP stand for PHP 8 compatibility detection, and that's going to be on Thursdays at 2. So Wednesday and Thursdays at 2 p.m. Central, I will be doing streams that are related to Drupal 8 development readiness and PHP 8 readiness detection. That which means I'm also going to drop my Friday hack and plays, because that's just way too much to do a stream Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Is a bit more than I can handle, especially with having to pay bills. Besides live streaming. So that will be my upcoming schedule. I'm really excited for that, and thanks Esteemed and Palantir for the sponsorships. So have a good rest of your Monday, everybody. Bye.